5 minutes and there's no recording.
But now there is.
I'm genuinely about to jump off a cliff.
Folks, this is Pro Prep Live. We've not jumped off a cliff. 10 o'clock at night, you can see how bright it is outside though. We're on our way back up the road to Aberdeen. Steph was scrolling for Instagram. She's came across a few things and she thought, you know what? Let's do a little topic on this. Let's do it. So Steph's going to have a rant here.
Okay,
really.
I'm going to have a rant.
She's going to have a rant. I'm going to try and temper it, but she's going to have a rant. Right? So you know where we're coming from this. I'm going to try and be balanced, but I'm just going to let her go, right?
Right.
So, here we go. So do it, Steph.
Contest dieting. Let's just talk about this, right? For a successful contest diet, there needs to be minimal variables and, in my opinion, needs to have a routine to it with a set amount of meals, set amount of macronutrients, good sources of nutrients and minerals coming from whole foods, a consistency in terms of timings of meals, what you're having, when you're having them, etc., for it all to be working well. Right?
And you know what? It just works.
It just works.
It just works.
Staples, a good contest diet, staple meals, good nutrient density from good whole foods, done well, weekly, over time, bosh. With the amendments made when needed. That's it.
That's it. And do you know what, right? There is real value in this because if you eat consistent food items on a day-to-day basis, you're eating the same calories on a day-to-day basis. If you start to substitute things here and there, you may think that you're eating the same amount of food because you're doing some sort of plan whereby you're fitting your macros into it. But trust me, as someone who's done a lot of nutritional analysis on actual food items in a lab, you're not eating the same things. You don't want to have 100 calorie variation from day to day to day to day to day to day because you're substituting Cocoa Pops in here, Cheetos in there, muffins in here, Pop Tarts in. Depends on the level in which you're competing at.
Yeah, if you're talking you want to be the best you possibly can, having monitored every single variable, keep it consistent over time, knowing that pretty much daily you know what intake you're having from certain foods, like Andrew's saying, the variables are minimized. Yeah, you can manage that and be much more specific with that and know that when you're adding something in or taking something out, it is part of a consistent plan that hasn't got too much like whatever's going on is going on.
So let me give you an example here. So I said you can substitute things in and out. So you think you're eating 1,700 calories one day, the next day, however, you substitute 2 meals, you have some slight variation, and actually it turns out that actually you end up eating 1,650 calories, or you end up eating 1,750 calories, or 1,800 calories. Now, by law, you're allowed to be 25% out on your food packaging in terms of the calories that are in there. This is particularly an issue when it comes to processed food items, so not whole foods. So when it's a composite meal that's been put together, like for example biscuits, for example, yeah? Now, as someone that's done food analysis, I will tell you now, protein you can analyse in a lab, it's not that difficult to do. Fats you can do pretty well. Carbohydrate is one of the most challenging things to analyse in a lab, and so is dietary fibre. And very often what they'll do is, they'll measure ash, they'll measure protein, and then they'll measure water content, and then whatever's left, they'll just say, well, that must be carbohydrate, and it must be fibre. So, you can imagine, that puts a lot of variation into different food items, as I say, up to 25% are allowed to be. Now, let's add some other real life examples in here. I've seen people go out and buy ready meals, pizzas, things like that, analyse these compared to actual nutrient labels, and I've seen them be off by up to 40 and 50%, okay? Massive variation. And then on top of that, if you go into a restaurant where they've got a food item menu, of course they do, it's called a menu, of recipes that have the macronutrients on it, those are the worst. They're not even close to being what they say they're going to be. How can you get away with it? Well, the FSA have only got so much power. They can't go around testing absolutely everything, and there's a lot of different menus, okay? Now, bearing in mind you've got that large amount of variation, when it comes to contest prep dieting, very often your coach is going to make changes to your diet, which might only be between about 50 to 100 calories.
Yeah.
And if you're having that variation across the course of the week, then how can you plan for that 50 to 100 calories actually having an effect on your diet if you're having variations like that? So it's much better if you can limit the variables by having a consistent intake over a period of time. That's one of the first things. Secondly, it's much better for your training performance if you're having regular and consistent meal intakes.
Yeah.
And thirdly, it's much better for your body in terms of satiation if it knows when it's going to be hungry and if it's having consistent values coming in terms of calorie intake. Last thing I'm going to say, research has been done on this, whereby they compare a varied diet, like a if it fits your macros approach that contest dieters will follow, versus a consistent clean eating approach where people eat the same thing every single day. And you would think that the variable diet would have a greater micronutrient intake, so vitamins and minerals. But when you do a comparison, if the balanced clean eating diet, where there's not a lot of variability in it, has enough nutrients in it in the first place, then it's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. So those are the things I'm going to say about that. Yeah. Steph, you got anyone to add on that?
Processed foods shouldn't have any place in a contest prep diet.
I would agree with that. You want to maximise,
particularly towards the latter part of a contest
Oh yeah,
prep diet.
absolutely. You can get away with much more at the start compared to the end, but you want to maximise the quality of the food that you're taking in, because the amount of food that you're taking in is reduced. So you need to get every ounce of quality out of that food you possibly can. So maximise the micronutrient intake, so vitamins and minerals,
Yep.
the protein quality if you possibly can, the fibre content of those sort of foods, the protein content as well for satiation. You want to maximise those variables.
Basically, try and eliminate processed foods as much as you possibly can.
Yeah.
Same with things like dairy, particularly to the latter parts of your prep. I am a massive advocate for dropping that out for various reasons, which we'll go on to in this video, but we might do something on that later. Also, based on, the whole if it fits your macros approach, and coaches using this approach to contest dieting, how can you monitor what your client understands by if it fits your macros and what that is, food groups and food choices they're using, having? It makes it much more difficult as a coach, in my opinion, to make the adaptations that you need to make to really ensure that that client is bringing the condition and the weight loss or the fat loss required to get into contest prep shape. So I think from a coach's perspective, whilst of course your main focus is the client and making sure that there is a healthy approach to dieting, I think it's important that we say from the offset, you're about to start a process which is so specific in terms of goal, the process of getting to the stage, that it needs an element of expertise from behind that to allow the client to really bring the best they possibly can. They've never done this before, or sometimes they haven't got as good understanding of what is required to get into contest prep shape. So giving the client an actual set of expectations and saying to them, look, let us help control the elements that you're maybe not so educated on, and we work together if there's certain food groups or things that don't sit well, etc., as we go along. That's great. But the whole here's your macros over to you approach for contest prep dieting, I think, has huge downfalls.
Yeah, that's a bit lazy in my opinion, just to say here's a macro intake.
Here's your fats, here's your carbs, here's your protein, off you go.
I mean,
it lacks knowledge from a coach's perspective in contest prep.
You're employing a nutritionist essentially to help you put together a meal plan which you can adhere to, and just giving someone some macros is a bit of a cop-out. I mean, where's the actual skill in that? Now, you made a good point about the semantics of this, so we talk about if it fits your macros, and I have surveyed people on this. Interestingly enough, you ask them what sort of approach they take. Do you follow a clean eating approach? Do you follow a cheat meal approach? Do you follow an if it fits your macros approach? And when I've polled 80 to 90 bodybuilders on this, the ones that follow it if it fits your macros approach, some of them talk in terms of, I follow if it fits your macros, and they say things like, this is not flexible dieting, or I follow this approach but it's a clean approach. So again, I think it's important to realise that if it fits your macros means very different things to very different people, and you have to be very specific about what you're actually asking someone to do when it's a contest dieting. Now, in terms of performance, you've mentioned it doesn't work for contest dieting.
It's not that that's generic. In my opinion, I don't think it is the most efficient or effective way to bring anyone in for a contest diet.
I agree. And I think that actually there are always caveats with these things. And here are the caveats. If you're taking anabolic steroids and other performance enhancing drugs, you can definitely get away with much more than you can get away with if you're a clean athlete. So you could diet for 8 to 10 weeks rather than having to do 20 weeks dieting, because you can just do things with your body and take chemicals that you can't do if you're clean. That means you can be a little bit more lax with your off season, definitely a little bit more lax with the dietary approach that you're going to take, because you can process nutrients much more effectively. So that is certainly a factor when it comes to the dieting approach. I've never seen any what I would describe as high level, and I'm very specific about this, high level, very good natural bodybuilders, high level, very good ones. We're talking top 3 in the world, in their class, at either the DFAC, WNBF Worlds, or the Natural Olympia, do that approach. So I've never seen anyone follow that, right? Same token, there's a lot of people that don't follow every Fincher Max and do a clean approach and they never win anything, yeah? But that's worth bearing in mind. Now, when I survey people and I say, okay, well, what dietary approach do you follow? And then I look at where they place in competitions. People that are placing are typically following a clean eating approach. So in terms of the numbers, people tend to do better when they follow the clean eating approach as well. Then that's empirical evidence, and you can look that up with some of my scientific research papers. You'll see that in black and white. So 2 sort of things, an anecdotal account and then an evidence-based approach.
Yeah.
So, Steph, anything else you want to add on that?
Don't have soup.
Don't have soup. Okay.
Fuck's sake. Anyway, that was me just being a little bit ranty.
Well, let's talk about the soup, yeah?
No, let's not talk about the soup.
So what soup are we talking, right? You want to get a tin of soup and have that? So something that's been thrown in a tin.
It comes back to processed stuff. How do you know? You don't know, like, what else is in these things. But not just that. It's just not a optimal food source for a contest prep diet. It's not. I mean, let's be honest, the best of times, even when you're not on a contest diet, who wants to have soup? Well, as a satiating meal. Like, okay, to be fair, there's a cute wee cafe down in Edinburgh on the beachfront that does a killer broth, right? And I'll be there every day of the week in off season, maybe on a Sunday, with a nice big chunk of like wholemeal bread and dip it in there with tons of butter. Amazing. Sorry
if you're dieting right now and you're starving, by the way.
But we are on a diet, babe.
Yeah, I'm talking to all the people out there. We're kind of hungry
as well, right? But anyway, on a contest prep diet, does soup make you feel full?
No.
Is it a good choice?
No, it's not.
Would you say that
whole food
top level bodybuilders, the likes of like you for example, Mr. Chevelle, would you like soup on your contest prep diet?
No, because I would try and eat whole foods, solid foods, because I know, again, in a calorie deficit, I need things to make me feel full for longer. And in terms of food items which are going to satiate you the most, top of the list is solid food. After that, it is slightly texture modified, softer foods like yogurts and mashed foods like mashed potato. And at the bottom of the list is liquid food forms. They will satiate you the least. If I wanted to take a food group which had lots of vitamins and minerals in it, I would get vegetables. And if I wanted to destroy all the nutrient content of those foods, I would boil it. So again, I would have a soup. That would be the way to do it.
So now that on this wonderful Sunday evening, we've had our total rant.
We've had a sorry, this has been a rant.
No, not sorry. Not sorry.
Sorry, not sorry.
Sorry, not sorry. Andrew and I just love talking shop. So whenever we see little bits and pieces, like sometimes instead of having like a normal discussion, we'll just have a bit of a rant.
It just
But
gets actually
I think
escalated.
some of the stuff like in here actually has been really helpful, but now we're just going off on a tangent. So we'll leave you on that note. But you know, in terms of our approach, like pro prep as well,
Yeah.
we take quite a specific approach to dieting based on our knowledge, experience, and what we know works. If a client was to come to us and say, look, I really don't do too well on a rigid, structured bodybuilding diet, can you do the if it fits your macros approach? There would be an option and a conversation around that to be able to come to a mutual understanding of what's going to really help this person. But yes, there are ways around helping the person who perhaps doesn't stick to a routine bodybuilding diet as well. But that all comes with an individualized approach to every specific client who's different. So I think, like, you know, we love working with individuals, but we also really do want our clients or people that we work with to know that when you enter into the bodybuilding competition phase, there are elements to this that you have to just accept, because it's not an average pursuit. It's not
this is an extreme sport,
not a
and you have to be
diet
aware of that.
just to lose a bit of weight. This is not a diet just to lose some fat. This is a specific approach that you are going to enter into, that whether you understand it or not at the beginning is a level of restriction. It's a controlled, don't want to say starvation, but it's like a controlled restrictive process. And it's got to be understood that this is not for everyone. It's a very extreme thing. And if you want to do really well, like if you want to bring a level of condition that both, you know, Andrew and I really hope for our athletes to get to be as highly competitive as they can be, then there has to be an element of hand-holding through that and guidance from us that helps that client actually get there.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, remember, it's an extreme sport, and
We like to be shredded over here in our camp. We like shredded bodies.
we like shredded bodies. So just a brief recap on a few key points here. A healthy diet is one which is limited in the processed food items that you consume. It is a diet which is high in nutrient-dense, energy-poor food groups, so the i.e. food. Yeah, and we want to maximise the consumption of high-quality food items and minimise the consumption of processed food items to maximise calorific efficiency and getting the most bang for your buck in terms of satiation, anabolism in terms of proteins coming in as well, so we can follow a diet which makes us feel fuller for longer. So, because we want to be shredded, so this is what we believe in, and we take an individualized approach for every person that we're working with to try and determine what is the best strategy for them going forward, so we can still get them shredded for the contest. So that's what we do.
Yay!
Okay.
That's it. Sunday episode on competition dieting, what a comp diet should really look like, and a little bit of a rant about the IIFYM approach.
Okay. Go and enjoy those Pop-Tarts and those Cocoa Pops now.
And your
Okay.
soup.